Welcome to this second telecontrols training session. My name is Dan and thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to explain you everything you need to know about our time delay relays and timing relays. So let's get ready for this. Hope you're having a good time. So for the ones of you that are not so familiar with timer relays and how the technology works, I'll give you a short wrap up. In general, the timer relays, also often referred to as timing relays, are used to control the timing of automated processes in machines or industrial applications without the need for software, meaning all the settings are done locally on our device or on the timer relay. And it also comes with an integrated switching relay that is able to give a signal, trigger a contactor, or just illuminate an alarm light. And when it comes to the timing ranges that are offered, those can really range from a millisecond on delay all the way to an off delay that goes all the way to 10 days, for example. For the timing functions, in general, timer relays can have single or multiple integrated functions. What we see is there is a trend to having multiple functions in one device. It doesn't make a big cost difference because everything is controlled via software. Back in the day, people used to have different hardware parts for single and multifunction relays. But these days, there is no need to have a single function product relay anymore because the multifunctional products fulfill most of the functionalities. So the timing functions itself can either be triggered by supply voltage or by an external control input. That could be a button, an external switch, or other inputs. The relay outputs, for the relay outputs, we can have either one or two relay outputs that come inside the device. The relay output configuration can be a single pole double throw or double pole double throw configuration, also well known as a 1 CO 1 changeover or 2 CO 2 changeover contact. So when it comes to the relay output, we also offer products that, for example, have one instant output and one delay and a delayed relay output, meaning one relay output is switching like instantly and the other one would be a little bit delayed. So why do people rely on our TELE products? We offer products with mostly 4 to 16 TELE functions in one device. We also have products with single functionality, but as I mentioned before, it's the most popular ones are the multifunctional devices, and all of our TELE timers come with a wide range power supply voltage, meaning you can really power them from 12 to 240 volts AC and DC, it doesn't matter. And along with the power supply, we also provide a wide range control input. So the control input is optional with some functionalities. Some functionalities also require an external control input. And all the products that we offer come with an LED or like multiple LED status indicators that give you an idea what is happening with my product. Is the timing in place? Is my output really indicated? And TELE also offers the most compact timer relays that come in a very popular IC style footprint mounted on a DIN rail. And the neat thing is that by having the DIN rail in place, you don't need additional accessories or equipment like an additional socket for those old 8 or 11 pin plug-in relays or a hold down spring, for example. And what also works in our customers' favor is that we offer affordable technology. Our microcontroller powered product offers accurate timing, and due to the multifunctional multi-voltage products, there is no need to keep inventory of single function, single voltage products. So let's look at our most famous products, our most popular products that are out there. One of our main sellers would be the E1CMQ10. You can power this time delay relay from 24 all the way to 240 volts AC and DC, it does not matter. With the product come 4 functions. That's why the Q in the type code is in there. It stands for Quattro. We have abbreviations for the timing functions that we offer. I'll introduce you to some of them today, but in general we have all the timing functions that TELE offers online with a short description. And with this certain product, we are able to offer the regular on delay function, off delay function, single shot leading edge, voltage controlled, meaning as soon as we basically power up the device, we just trigger the relay for a certain amount of time. And then we have a symmetric flasher that starts with a pause integrated. So you could set, for example, you have your output on for 10 minutes and then turn it off for 10 minutes. Most of our devices offer 7 timing ranges, ranging from 1 second to 100 hours. This would be the timing end range, and you could adjust the exact timing within this timing range with the adjustment range that goes from 0.05 to 1, meaning you could set it technically from 50 milliseconds all the way to 100 hours. And with the product the product comes with a single pole double throw output that is capable of switching 8 amps at 250 volts AC. And the important thing here is, for example, if you have 8 amps, and I know our competitors have 10 or 16 amp switching capacity, but it's important here that TELE is more on the safe side when it comes to R&D progress. And you would see that basically on the switching cycles that we're able to handle. All of our products have a mechanical life of 200,000, which means you can switch them on and off the relay 200,000 times, where what we see our competition, if they have 16 amps in switching capacity, they only have half of the mechanical life. So that's always something to keep in mind. So let's look at one of the examples for this. The E1CMQ with the WU function, the single shot leading edge, voltage controlled. As I mentioned before, as soon as the power supply is present, on the left side you can see a graph, the R would be the relay, and as soon as the power supply is present, the output relay is activated for a certain amount of time. The one graph that shows LED UT, that would be your indication LED that tells you when it's flashing, the timing function is in progress, and when it's illuminated, it means no timing function in progress and power supply is present. So in the end, after the time T expired, you can reset the function by reapplying the power, and we would start over the cycle again. Let's look at the big brother, the E1CM's big brother. In this case, we kind of zoomed into the power supply range. In this case, with this product, it goes from 12 to 240 volts AC and DC. It's in the same exact footprint. What we offer here is 3 functions more. So along with the on delay, the off delay, single shot leading edge, voltage controlled, and the flasher, we added 3 functions: the single shot leading edge with the control input, the single shot trailing edge with the control input, and the on delay with the control input. As you see, in this particular case, we added the control input feature, meaning that you can work around different use cases with your control input or external sensor. Again, the timing ranges and adjustment ranges are the exact same, along with the relay output. And on this side, on the right hand side, you would see the function LED along with the relay LED indicated. Another pretty famous product is, and as you can see already, this has is like double the size of the one that I introduced to you on the last slide, or E3CM20. In general, when you see an E3 starting, the type code starting with an E3, you can anticipate that the product is like twice the size, meaning we can also take care of a second relay output. And in this case, it's the same functionality than the previous product. However, we offer 2 integrated relay outputs with this product. So same functionality, same footprint almost, but enhanced switching outputs. Yeah, and then another pretty famous product is our E3CI20, also able to be powered up by 12 to 240 volts AC and DC. Now the neat thing about this product is it's our asymmetric flasher relay that is capable of basically handling 2 different times that we can set on there. And for example, the function II, asymmetric flasher impulse first, there you would have an impulse. You set time 1 on the 2 dials on the top left. And for example, you want to have your relay on for 10 minutes and then you switch it off for 2 hours. So you can set like 2 different times on one device. And it also gives you a few other features where you require 2 separate times. On this part of the relay, we have also two relay outputs that come with the E3CI20, but in case you only require one and you want to have half of the footprint, we also offer a product that's called E1CI10, that allows you to be a little bit more flexible when it comes to space and only has one relay output. And one example, as I said earlier, EWS on delay with a single shot leading edge with control input. In this case, we require the product to be permanently powered up, so 12 to 240 volts AC or DC. And then with your external control input, you would basically trigger your relay function or your timing function. In this case, T1 would be your set time, for example, 5 seconds. And then after 5 seconds, we would switch on the T2, the time that the relay is illuminated. During the cycle, you can't really interrupt the cycle, so we would basically go through the whole cycle, and then you can repower the timing functionality by reapplying the control input. And the control input would be shown as S in the graph on the left. Yeah, so there are the Fantastic Four, a winning team really. As you see, it's 4 products, 4 product codes, and this is one family that we sell the most through our whole entire TELE portfolio. Enhanced capability, enhanced flexibility for an affordable price. So when it comes to the markets and applications, we always get the questions, hey, so where are your timers and monitoring relays used? In this case, we'll give you a short intro along with some exact application examples. Most of the times, and that's our core industry, our core markets, is panel and switchgear builders, including power distribution, machinery builders, HVAC, building automation, along with other industries, including water supply industries, agriculture, data centers, but also the maintenance and replacement contractors really rely on our products, because if someone had installed like a single function on delay timer, they can easily cross their product with our product, and for future maintenance requests, they can use the same product with different functions. So let's look at some of the application examples. Here, one pretty famous application that we come across in Austria and Australia and California, so all the wine countries all the time. If you have a vineyard, and you want to have sufficient pest control to make sure your vineyard has the best possible output, our time relay would run under the function WS, and we would be on a vehicle, on a tractor or so, along with a mechanical switch that activates our relay via the control input, and then we trigger a valve that basically sprays on the pesticides on the grapevine. With the dials that are on our device and the set time, you could also control, depending on the speed of the vehicle, how much pesticides do you want to spray on the grapevine in a certain case. And then a pretty neat application for our E3CI20, so our asymmetric flasher, would be if you have a sender, if you want to send some data in a remote application or remote area. What we would offer here is, since you can set 2 separate times, and if the power goes out and they have a backup power, for example, a battery that's powered of 12, or that outputs 12 volts DC, as soon as the power goes out, the battery would power up our timer, our asymmetric flasher relay, with the 12 volts DC. And then since the data consumption of the sender is pretty high, the customer only wants to send the data for a certain amount of time, meaning we would be on standby for 2 hours, and then for 10 minutes we would activate the sender and send all the data and submit all the data. And then as soon as the regular power condition is back, we would be on standby again and say, okay, now you have sufficient power, you can send all the data you want, but we basically do our best to increase the battery life and make sure that everything works properly when the power is out. So another fun application would be the debumping of float switches, for example. If some of you have dealt with a float switch before, in between the surface, the moving surface and the contact, there could be like a little chattering, a slight chatter between the contact and the float switch. So what we could do with our on delay function, once our float switch activated our control input, we keep it on for until the water level is at a stable level. And in this case, what the use case of this is, we also prevent something from like motors or pumps from being powered up and then powered off again, simply because the float switch is bouncing up and down. So we increase reliability and also avoid a faulty triggering of pumps or motors. And then if you went to some of the big grocery stores, maybe you could see all those industrial ovens. So what we do is with our R functions, the off delay function, by triggering an external control input or like a simple start button, we would power up an industrial oven for baked goods in this case for, let's say, 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, we automatically shut off the oven so nothing burns. And on the graph, you can see load 1 would present our oven, and then on output number 16, you could have a light indication in this case. So I just gave you some examples of how the products work, how the TELE products work, where they can be used. And we also have more than 115 applications online, so feel free to visit our website, www.tele-controls.com, and you'll find all the applications by product category to check out. Now, since you know how all the stuff works, we're going to show you how to set it up. Super easy, super simple. In 5 steps, you'll have all you need. And before you start installing everything, know what function you want to deal with and know what time delay you want to deal with. In this certain example, we have our E1ZM10 time delay relay that ranges from 12 to 240 volts AC/DC. In this example, we want to set a simple on delay of 6 hours, and I'll show you how to do that. Step number 1, installation and wiring. All of our products can be mounted on a piece of DIN rail, a 35 millimeter DIN rail. It's IEC standard, used all over the world. And in case your client doesn't have a DIN rail, piece of DIN rail present, we also sell our DIN rail mounting clip. It's a piece of plastic that snaps on onto all sorts of universal panel space. Order code is MP Universal and goes for $1 MSRP. It's a pretty cool feature to have in case there is no DIN rail present. And once you snapped on the timer relay on your DIN rail or your personal form of mounting, we recommend looking at the data sheet and look at the data sheet and see what kind of relay configuration do I want? Do I need a control input? Do I not? And on the right hand side, you would see, for example, how the wiring is done with the control input or without the control input. And the integrated relay output provides sufficient switching capacity for all common industrial solutions. Of course, we cannot replace like a contactor that switches 20 amps. However, we can trigger the contactor or also trigger other alarms or fans, for example, or pumps that need to be activated. Please always make sure that all of the devices are installed by authorized personnel, and that way we can make sure that everything is installed in a good way. Yeah, step 2 would be to choose your functions. So you looked at the data sheet, you know what kind of functions you want. And in our case, function E on delay would be the letter E on the bottom dial. So the bottom dial of every device gives you the function to be selected. And depending on your choice, you just softly rotate the bottom dial clockwise, not counterclockwise. Clockwise is important. And you can use a regular PC1 screwdriver, and the longest slot of the dial indicates the current function that is selected. One safety feature I would always like to mention is in case you wish to adjust the functions and your product is powered up, so you have power supply on the product, you can change the dial. However, the software and the product will not adapt the function. So in case, or in order for the product to run under the new function that you selected, you would need to reapply the power. So yeah, step 3, you would make sure that you select the time range that you want. In our case, we needed a time delay of 6 hours. And with the dial in the middle, you set the value that is matching your application. In our case, we would set it to 10 hours. And then in the next step number 4, you would choose your timing end range, and it works like a kind of a percentage system, where if we set our product to 10 hours to dial in the middle, and now we want to have 6 hours, we would set the top dial for the fine adjustment to 0.6. And in this case, our product would take 10 hours times 0.6, and then you would have a time delay of 6 hours. So, yeah, and step 5, we're already there. And once in operation, our time delay relays has the status LEDs that show you the indication of the supply voltage. That's when the green LED UT would be permanently on and permanently illuminated. Once the timing function is triggered, we have an LED U-T, the same LED that starts to flash. And with every product also comes a LED indication of the relay output, and that would be the orange LED on the front of the device. Yeah, so, and there we are already at the end of our short training session, in this case, teletimer relays. In case there's a question that you want an answer for, feel free to shoot us an email, or also to visit our website anytime. As I mentioned before, the bottom link gives you access to all the case studies and applications that we have online. And then we'll also make sure that you receive all the answers to the questions that might arise. So thanks for joining us today for this training session number 2, and we'll see you for the next session. Bye.